We're in Valletta, the capital of Malta, which is an island nation between Sicily, Italy, and Tunisia. We walk along the waterfront past Baroque-era warehouses, 2, then to Fort St. Elmo and the National War Museum, 3, then a food hall for lunch, 4, along Merchant Street, 5, St. John's Co-Cathedral, 6, Republic Street, 7, the Parliament, 8, by the City Gate, 9, then up to Hastings Garden on St. John Bastion, 10, over to the Triton Fountain, 11, past a modern sculpture, 12, and back to the waterfront. These warehouses along the waterfront were built in the 18th century in the Baroque style under Grand Master Pinto when Malta was controlled by the Knights Hospitaller. Valletta's fortifications were built in stages from 1566 until 1856 to defend against various attackers, with modifications during the Second World War to support modern warfare. We're passing under Fort Lascaris now. Malta has been inhabited for around 8,000 years and has been ruled by the Phoenicians, Carthaginians, Ancient Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Normans, Knights Hospitaller, French, and British. Malta achieved its independence in 1964. Knights Hospitaller is the common name of the Order of Knights of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem. Our exploration of Fort St. Elmo starts by St. Lazarus Bastion and continues up and along Abercrombie's Curtain. St. Lazarus Bastion was built in the 16th century outside Fort St. Elmo, but incorporated as the fort was expanded. In 1785, it had 7 cannons and 11 mortars. The Aragonese built a watchtower on St. Elmo Point in 1417. The tower was reinforced by the Knights Hospitallers in 1533, overrun by the Ottomans in 1551, and rebuilt as a star fort starting in 1552. This fort held back an Ottoman invasion for 28 days during the 1565 Great Siege of Malta. Fort St. Elmo was rebuilt starting in 1566 and integrated into city walls. The fort was expanded in the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries with additional modifications for the World Wars. Abercrombie Curtain was expanded to a battery around 1860, and now it summarizes evolution of the fort, Malta, and the region from the 15th century onwards. Submariner's Walkway honors the many Maltese sailors who were lost at sea in submarines. Stores were built around 1880 for machines and guns, and used for storing shells and sheltering soldiers later. Lieutenant General Sir Ralph Abercrombie was appointed to the British Mediterranean Command in 1800 and died in the Battle of Alexandria in 1801. This bastion was fortified in the Victorian era and named after Abercrombie. His remains are buried here. The only seaborne attack against Malta in World War II was by the Italians using 2 motor torpedo boats, 9 explosive motorboats, and 2 human torpedoes. Twin 6-pounder guns at Fort St. Elmo fired 262 rounds, leading to the sinking and capture of all Italian seacraft. We briefly walked along parts of curtains and bastions at the top of this map until we were told that these sections were closed. We're entering into the Upper St. Elmo fortifications now to see the National Museum. The green carpet was not for us, but being sent up for a later reception. Most of the National Museum's exhibits are in these stone structures on the top level. The first set of rooms contained artifacts from prehistoric Malta, Greek, and Roman times, dating back as far as 5000 BC. Exhibits trace Malta's history from the 15th century to the 19th century, including battles between the Ottoman Empire and European powers, especially the Great Siege of 1565, the rise of the Knights Hospitallers to power, later takeover by Napoleon's forces, and then transition to British rule. Malta's roles in the world wars of the 20th century were covered, including support for troops in various areas around the Mediterranean, aerial bombings, and a protracted blockade of supplies by the Axis forces. We're on the Cavalier now, in an observation post. Fire command post, and room for directing electric lights. From the top of Fort St. Elmo, we can see parts of the old city that we will be exploring. We headed to the Is-Souk Towel Belt Valletta Food Market for lunch. This covered market was built between 1859 and 1861 and was the first Maltese building constructed mainly of iron. First, we go to the lowest level to check out the supermarket. There are windows in the floor through which you can see stone remains, possibly from the 16th century Piazza del Malcantone, which was used for gallows parades before hangings, or a later market site built by the Hospitallers. Of the broad variety of cuisines, we picked Maltese street food. A Maltese sausage sandwich and timpani, which is a pasta pie. There are many stores and cafes along Merchant Street, which is one of the longest streets in Valletta. The architecture spans the 16th century up to the 18th century. We're on St. Lucia Street near St. John's Co-Cathedral, built in a 16th century high Baroque style. We visit a gallery with paintings of the Co-Cathedral over several decades. Here is the Co-Cathedral from another side. From Republic Street, we see the long line to enter the Co-Cathedral. I should have booked tickets in advance. Republic Street has many stores and vendors, as well as more 16th, 17th, and 18th century stone buildings. Here is the modern Parliament next to an outdoor theater along Republic Street. The theater was built on the ruins of the Royal Opera House, which was destroyed during World War II. Just outside the city gate and next to the city walls, we see the Valletta Ditch and the Lamparelli Gardens. Re-entering the main gate to Valletta, we turn left to visit Hastings Garden on St. John's Bastion. It provides great views of some parts of Malta and a quiet place to relax. Francis, Marquis of Hastings, was the governor of Malta who died in 1826 and is buried in this garden. This is a monument to Lord Hastings. Triton's Fountain, built in 1959 and near the city gate, has trees and benches for escaping the crowds in Valletta. Modern art that changes with viewing angle. Another park area on the way back to the port. That's all from Malta. Now on to our next port of call. If you like this video, please hit the like button to help it get shared, and hit subscribe to see more videos from this channel.